Everybody, Jerry here. We're going to get right to it. I did this quick video here to show you how I look at the surf. Basically, it's going to be three basic concepts. There's going to be seams, fish holding zones, and casting zones. You'll see as we get into the video, I'm going to repeat these three basic concepts, and hopefully you see how I look at the water. We're going to take a look at the first slide here, and we'll put it on still frame. The seams I'm going to show you in red. It's coming up. Basically, they're changes in the water, and keep in mind that they change constantly with the wave motion, income and outgoing water. So just keep that in mind. This is just one moment in time we're looking at, so it will vary as you're looking at it. Like I said, I was going to show you in red. Here's a sharp contrasting seam that I see. This is a change. There's something that's making that water break different around there. And that's what I'm looking for. That's where I'm going to be casting. That's where I'm going to work into the fish from there. The changes, that's what you're looking for. Here's another seam. It's just on the other side. Now, this video, I don't want you to be concerned so much as to what's forming these seams. I'm just trying to show you what I am looking at. That would be the topic for another video. This is just to get you on that water, in productive water, and out fishing. Here's another seam that I see. It's on the end of that there plume. This is really hot place to fish. This is what you look for. Those big changes in the water. I want you to take note, even over there, that their beach lip right there in front of you is an excellent piece of water to fish, especially at night. And you can see the lines in the foreground. That's the outside bar over there. You can send casts out to there, and the fish will be hanging around there as well. Now I'm going to show you in the green in this video. That's where I think the fish may hold. You can't be for sure because they're moving around, but this is where, in my mind, I see the envisioned fish kind of being located. You can see the area here to the right, the dark color water. It's deep, so I'm thinking maybe they're going to be hanging on the bottom of there. Another point is going to be to your left. Now, which side is going to be more productive? I don't know. It depends on your current, your sweep, and the tide. But the fish may be holding on that left side as well. In addition, that's a great spot to assume that fish will be hanging. And actually, it's a great spot to cast because your lure will sweep into those two bigger circles that I really like. And of course, they're going to be moving around in between the wash outside your outer bars and the inner side of the bars. And at night, you can see the fish are going to be relating right close to that beach lip at night. So don't be scared to place your cast right very close in and just fish within feet in front of you, believe it or not. It's all great stuff. Now take a look at places that I may cast. I like to say may because you have to keep in mind fish are always moving. You have to keep up with that. But the first places I'm going to look for to place my first casts are going to be the darkest, most contrasting areas. I think they show the biggest changes, and those biggest changes are going to cause the biggest turbulence, which are going to cause fish to either hang through there or look through there for bait or whatever reason they happen to be there. So that those first three stars there look very appealing to start my fishing. So I'm going to hit on that far right first, and I might place a few closer in. And I might hit that same spot a few times before I hit the next spot. Also, pending that left side, I'm going to hit those areas as well, especially if that sweep is sweeping to my left. That's very appealing places for me to cast. The outside also excellent. I might even start by casting on the outside of that plume. This in the daytime. Because you're going to cover a lot of water when you get on the outside of that there mushroom cloud looking thing. And finally, keep in mind you have your outer bar too. You can hit outside there. A lot of times the fish might be on the outside and they're not relating to the shore. So you might be hitting those stars with those fish by those stars in the foreground. On the same note, at night, even in the day sometimes, right along the shore, the fish just may be relating to that shoreline, that lip on the beach, that breakwater right in front of you. They might be in there scavenging for sand fleas or sand eels or anything that just might be inside that there portion of water. So basically you want to cover a lot of water. Keep in mind you're basically going to be fan casting until you find specific structure that those fish are relating to. Now we're going to jump to a different set of conditions. This is, I want you to take a look at that. You can see how things are kind of changing as the water's flowing in, flowing out. And but I see all kinds of good stuff in here. So just take a good look at this. There's all kinds of changes. I see all kinds of seams going on. And in a lot of places that'll hold fish in this little area here. That's why I stopped to fish inside here. So in a second, I'm going to freeze this frame and just take a good look at it. Envision the seams, basically your fish holding areas, and where you may cast. And then we'll go through it in the same fashion as I did with the previous frames. We're going to show in red those seams. We're going to show in green where I think the fish are going to hold and be kind of moving around. And then places where I may cast. Okay, here we go. The first thing that strikes me is the outside seam over here. I guess that would be some kind of a sandbar or something like that. Very contrast and very sharp contrast with the rest of the water. You can see by the breakwater on top of it how it forms. So that's a big change that I see. And I also, you could see from the lip of the beach and to the left there's almost like this really neat deep hole. And it does nothing but stand out right in front of you. And you can see it has potential. I can see that it may have the potential to hold fish. And also I want you to keep in mind is the other side of that seam there. That other side, I know it's one seam, but on the outside of that bar there, that's fish may relate to that more than they will on the inside some days. So keep that in mind. But this really stands out to me. This is just what I'm looking at. Okay, now back to that green portion there. That's where that pool I was telling you about. You can see it lines up pretty much so with the seams that you see. But all inside there, you're going to find the fish may hold there. I like to use the word may. They could be anywhere. Like, of course, let's go to the next. I say may because if the fish are swimming up and down the outside of the bar, they may never come in on the beach. So you have to keep your mind open and hit a lot of water. I mentioned fan casting before, and we'll get to that again. You'll see that's what we're doing. But that's a beautiful pool, a very sharp sandbar. So you may hit the fish on the other side there, or inside that pool with all kinds of currents working on the side, edges, and whatnot. There's a lot of things going on in there. And of course, the fish are going to relate to that lip of the beach, and you're going to get them in that backwash too, you know. So they're moving all over the place, but certain areas are going to be hanging onto more often than others. But it's your job to cover the water as thoroughly as you can some days. Things aren't always cut and dry in fishing. Now to look at a few places that I may cast, you see the blue stars there. I probably will start the upper left-hand corner there and work my way in a little bit, not necessarily in that order, but that's generally on the inside. You can also cast on the other side of that bar and work it over that hump. Either way or the other, it works, rather, it's going to be your best shot to start that way. May not, just cast wherever you see that change going on. Of course, you want to, if you think the fish are on the other side, try fishing that water on the other side of that bar a bit further out. May yield better results. Generally, just go by your gut when you're starting to fish. That's the best thing you can do. Just follow your gut. And sometimes that really is the best thing you can do. And of course, the inner part, I know the stars look like they're right on the shore, but I'll cast just slightly, maybe in the middle of that pool, and see what my lure does in the middle of that, and work it in slowly. And of course, just on the outside left-hand side of that rip, right through. Again, you can see we're just fan casting a good piece of water. The fish aren't going to be in one spot. You might find they're holding on a certain day to a certain section, and they're going to be more productive than other sections. But generally, just cover a lot of water. That's the best thing you can do until you find the fish. Okay, I want to show you something really cool here. Look at this really deep cut on the beach. And you look for this on the beach. Let me get up here real quick and take a look down. But it formed, when you see this, there's deep water out there. I'm going to grab a snack real quick here. I'm feeling a little hungry. And just take a look. And it's forms a nice deep hole out there. When you see that on the beach, stop and check it out. Probably a deep hole in there. Scour it out. But it's really good water. Well, let's take a look at some of the stills I hear. You'll see this along the beach. Some sections may be longer than others, but generally, I think it's formed by the water's coming down on a really steep angle and washing. However it's formed, but it's something to look for. But that's the important part. Now here's something I want to show you. I'm looking down the beach and I see something nice, and I'm going to show you with a blue star in the next frame. All the way out there, that's a nice piece of structure I can see. I don't know how far that is, at least a quarter mile, maybe more. But I know that there's good water down there too. I just wanted to show you that. That's something to keep in the back of your mind after you hit a spot. Where do you want to fish next and whatnot? And that looks like a good spot to me. Now let's take a minute to look at the water we're going to be fishing here. And I want you to imagine those seams, maybe the fish holding zones, and keep in mind where you'll be casting. There's you can't see it too well, but there's the seam that I see there. It's really, you look at the water and you might not be able to see it that well on here, but you can see that dark green water better in person. And you just know it's a deeper portion of the beach. You may find some good fishing or some bigger fish even. And so that your fish holding zone, I'm going to fish, the fish are going to be close in, they could be far out. There could be other things going on out there too. Sandbars further out. And just keep in mind that it's like it's a deep portion of the beach. So fish are going to be out there in front of you, but looking at closer in but further out. But there's going to be a lot of big area to fish. And I'm just going to start placing my cast directly, just lobbing them out. You could do the countdown method and you'll see how deep that water is. And if I'm not getting no hits, I'll cast further out. This is basically how I would approach this situation. But again, look for that deep cut in the beach. Find a nice spot where you see some kind of sharp contrast and fish it. And now we're going to look at this piece of beach here. That this is really a lot's going on here. Now I want you to keep in mind that this method, or what I'm doing here, how I'm looking at things, can be applied just about anywhere you fish. River, inlet, or bay, a creek, anything. It all applies. You know, you're just looking for changes. That's the important part, end seams. Now take a second and just, you know, look at the picture, and you can see all of the seams that I see. There's a lot. There's a few bodies of water here that you would approach slightly differently. Here's the biggest ones I see right in front of me, on the left and the right. You can see that white water there, and that forming that junction. There's a nice piece just to the right here, water too, almost in the same character, but I think it's slightly shallower. And then you have your outside bar over there too. You can see that, the slight white caps coming up from out, you know, further in the distance. And of course you can see you got that tight shore area in front of you. And now we'll take a look at, you know, where the fish I think are going to hold. Of course, there's like a big hole that you see in here, but I really like this portion of water right here. It's almost like a narrow open, and so I put a big X there. That's going to be, I think that's going to be the hot zone, you know, somewhere in there. Any fish coming in and out to feed, they got to kind of cut through there. And of course, you got your area on the right, and there, I think that's going to be another hot zone too. And of course, the fish are going to be moving through that white water back and forth, and your outer bars there. And of course, the inside portion, I think it's going to be better at night than it would be in the day. I'm going to start my cast, and like I said, where I saw that X, you can see everything overlays each other, really, it's all the same. But I think that left portion there, I'll start inside there. It's a very sharp contrast. Another sharp contrast is that portion to the right, and of course all over there, that whole portion to the right, those other seams towards that right. I'm going to check that out. I'm going to move back and forth along the beach. This is a nice big area. And of course the outer bar, I'll hit cast way out there if nothing's happening closer in, but I bet you that you're better off casting inside here. And of course, nighttime, don't forget to hit that shoreline right in front of you. That's going to be a very hot zone. Okay, here's another piece of water, and this looks great. And just keep in mind, this video is not so much about how to fish the water, but what to look for, and then you can fish it your way. That's another topic, how you would approach it, but I just want to show you things through my eyes, and hopefully you can apply that. Now take a second and take a quick look at this water, and then think about, you know, where those seams are, where the fish are holding, and where you'll be casting. But more importantly, just think seams and changes. That's the important part. Also, I want you to remember that reading a beach doesn't have to be as complicated, only as complicated as you make it. You're just looking for changes and seams. So let's get to it and look for these seams. Okay, here we go. This one is very clear cut. And again, remember, this is going to be changing. The water's coming in and out. You can watch the first frame and go over the video as much as you need just to see how it changes. But you're going to see a pattern, and then that pattern emerges, and you're going to see bigger junctions, bigger joints. This stands out to me. And also, you notice you got a beautiful outer bar over there, and nice deep water in the middle. Very nice seams. And your shoreline always has a seam most of the time, unless you have a gentle sloping beach. But this is very sharp. Actually, this is a very deep lip here. The brighter, the darker that green and the brighter the whites, the more the contrast, the bigger that junction. And here's like another, almost forms a cutout there in that other bar, and that's an awesome place to fish. Now let's take a look at where I think the fish will be holding. I'm generally right in front of this plume. That's going to be my first guess where they may be. That little junction there, I put 3 little stars. I really like that. I see like there's almost like a cut inside. There's 2 bars out there almost, and I like that. It's going to be like a pass. Any junction is great. The outer bar, of course, is fantastic. But just keep in mind, the further you cast, the longer you are reeling in your bait or your lure. So find a fish out there, keep on casting out there. If they're not out there, concentrate your more effort closer in towards me. And of course, your closer, fish holding zones. This is going to be nighttime water, right next to that deep lip. That's a deep lip. It might even hold a lot of fish in the day. And of course, right inside, the fish are moving all over the place. So if you're not hitting them out there, you're not hitting them on the sides, not hitting them close, throw right in that moving water. Okay, let's look at the casting. You're basically probably starting to see now, I hope, that how all three concepts are related. Your seams, your fish holding zones, and your casting zones. So briefly, I just want to, you can see where I'm going to cast here first. That's going to be my first choice. But I want to hit another topic, is how am I going to cast? Depends on what I'm fishing or how I'm fishing. For instance, if I'm fishing with the fly, I'm going to be fishing, ranging closer in. So those joints, those casting zones I'm showing you, are going to be closer in if I'm throwing a fly. If I'm throwing heavy bait, my range is going to be, obviously expanded. So it's all in accord to what you're doing. Again, you can see on the right, those 3 stars over there. I really like that. Obviously, I might not be able to hit that with the fly, so I'm going to concentrate my casts in on that first slide. And the bar, of course, you're going to hit the bar out there. You hit that with jigs, heavy lures, plugs, and bait. That's going to be within your range. So then what you're throwing, keep in mind, when you're throwing light minnows, you're not going to be hitting that bar as often. And of course, that shoreline is always inviting for everything. Whether you're tossing a fly, lures, or bait, it lends itself great, especially at night. That's a very deep lip. I don't know if you can tell. Go back to the moving picture. And but I just wanted to touch on that topic real quick, that your seams, your fish holding zones, and your casting are all related. Your casting is dependent on how you're fishing. So just keep that in mind when you approach a piece of water. But it's all correlated, as I hope you can see now. I wanted to finish this video a little sooner than what we're running, 20 minutes and under, but I just want to show you a few more things before we call it quits. This here is a beautiful piece of structure. This is actually, I guess you would call it a sandbar. It's low tide, and low tide is a great time to go out and see the structure that's forming these seams, the junctions in the water, making these changes. And this is one of them. This is almost, I look at this also, I'll see this almost as a river. The water is just flowing right through there and spilling right out back into the ocean. And this is what I see all together, you can see the flowing water, and it's kind of spilling right back in, and those fish are going to hold around that big green circle. And high tide, low tide, whatnot, the bar should stay there, and actually you can cast right in there on higher tides inside that bar that you can get out on. It's a great place to fish, and never pass this up as you're walking along the beach looking for places to fish. Okay, we're going to look at a few more examples. I want you to let you know, also, I'm sure I missed many of points and left a lot out. So if anything you want to add, definitely please do. I'm always happy to have people, hear from people and see what they have to input on anything. Just, enjoy yourself. So let's just take a quick look at this. I mean, what do you see out here? I'll show you another quick view. And you see that there, that deep cut, right? It's generally flat water going on there. But you see that deep cut on the bank, and you can see it tapers off where I'm standing. And I'll show you exactly how, I am approaching the water. There you go. I know it doesn't stand out well because the water's flat, but there is a seam out there. There's a strong taper. It's almost, I think that it was almost like a point out there, and there's like a deep cut, and this is what I was doing. You can see the seam, and where I assume the fish will be holding, and where I was casting. It's an odd angle. I'll show you the next frame. This is probably more so how it, was. And also the fish were coming in on the right. But that's just one example. You can see the deep cut bank, the deep hole. I showed you a picture of that, a whole segment of that earlier in on the video. And here is another example, different scenario, same concept. You see the flat water, and that's just something to show. I'm going to show you one more frame from earlier in the show, and then we'll call it quits. There's more coming up. Okay, this is, think of this as a little bit of a test. This is the frame from the beginning. I'll take a quick look at it and see what you see. Again, think seams, fish holding zones, and casting zones, and think about how they'll all overlap. And then just take a moment, look at it, and then I'll just show you briefly what I see. Here are the main seams that I see, and next we're going to see the fish holding zones, all related to the seams, and my favorite casting zones, also related to the seams. All the same. How you approach, that's up to you. The important thing is you see these seams and changes, and the structure that makes these seams and changes, and fish it your way. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed and get something out of it. This is not so much for experts, but maybe to look at something through your fresh eyes, and maybe it'll help you out on the beach and see things differently. Thanks again for watching.